Okay. So just certainly from an European viewpoint, and as I say, what we're doing at the moment, I probably mentioned that, is that we've built up a team principally of, highly qualified executives who've lost their jobs during the current economic recession, and they're actually helping us to construct the application to Europe for a project which will communicate the need to cycle carbon, water and nutrients based around the Operation Oasis concept. So that's where we're at the moment. And part of that bid, of course, needs to be, obviously we need to do communication locally, but also to communicate the message through international conferences, both within Europe and beyond. So one question would be, do you have any connection with people who host European conferences who might be interested in hearing about this approach to desert reclamation and carbon cycling and so on?
I have made presentations to a number of international, but when some of these things are sponsored by United Nations, the whole protocol and the whole process, you never can tell when you are likely to get a feedback. In terms of EU, like I just mentioned to you, I just started in Abuja. I've made 2 presentations already. So, EU ambassador in Nigeria, which was later expanded to include other ambassadors, mainly because of the kind of reaction that one got from the initial, whereby the EU countries felt that, look, this is something that should not be limited only to EU countries. So I have the 2 major ambassadors that coordinated so whatever we are doing today, because I informed them about this meeting, I think there will be need for us to communicate to the head of the EU mission in Nigeria, because that could be a starting point. I know you will have your contacts here and all over, but it will also be nice, since it's been Africa is in focus, and since I had already started propagating many faith missions with them, they will be probably more receptive if they now know that there is a collaboration between faith and, approaching it from a completely different perspective. So I think that we can make available to you.
Okay, yes please. And then, so what, you put it in touch with them after letting them know?
Yeah, or whatever we're going to do, let me put it that way.
Okay.
Whatever we're going to do here as a body, and when we agree to work together, we probably will do it here, and then we also do it with a mission, since I had already started communicating with them.
Okay. Yes, that was the one. We've also got a platform at the Arab Water, the second Arab Water Forum, that's right, which is in Cairo in November. So again, I don't know if that's of interest to you as well.
Yes, that would be very
And so that's another thing that we're obviously very interested in is again, because Seven Suzuki has the dialogue with us now as well, is the 2012 Earth Summit. Is that something you're involved in?
I'm a party delegate to 2012 Earth Summit, yes.
So if we wanted to address them, how would you go about that? If you would have an opportunity to speak to the summit, is that?
I think this time around I think I'll have a platform, but it depends on the organizers and my government, because I go representing, unfortunately or unfortunately, representing my government. I mean, my government co-opted me as a party delegate, if you know what I mean. So when I go to any of these heads of a summit, it's like, even though I was co-opted in collaboration with the government, but I speak not so much for faith, I speak for the government. That is the aspect that is unfortunate, because it reduces, dilutes my capability to become the activist that I have always been. Because once you're there for the government, there's a limit. Protocol would not permit you to become the true activist that I like to be. So I've had that problem since I was co-opted into the party delegate. And I've used that as a platform as well. The benefit there is that you carry the red tag, which which gives you some kind of diplomatic position in the whole thing. But outside that, sometimes I remove my tag and just go in there ordinarily, because the protocol, the whole process is very daunting, very, very daunting.
Not only could we help by being in some way your independent grassroots voice?
Yes,
that's something we could do.
Yes, why not? Yes.
Okay. That's something we'd love to support. And as I say, I know Seven Suzuki would be interested as well. Have you been in touch with him recently?
No, not maybe. I think he knows of my work and things I do, but we have not really been.
Okay. What else is there? Oh, is there a note on your website you had Exxon Mobile?
Yes.
Mobile.
One of the sponsors, yes.
What are they interested in?
Okay, that's a very interesting one. They're fond of giving us a bit of money, and but I have had to pay heavily for it, because so many people can see the relationship. But they are doing it because they want to be seen as contributing to reducing the effect.
It's commendable.
That's right, yes. Because of the flaring especially, they are flaring that. And I know that the last time I spoke with them, they asked Faith to produce some, or let them have anything that will paint them as trying to engage in carbon stock. And of course we gave them something which, from my understanding, was not completely acceptable to them. They didn't tell me that, but the only way I could assess that was the following year, the level of funding we get from them reduced by about 50%. And but they said it was due to economic downturn. But I discussed with my colleagues, and we knew that yes, it was because we tried to not pull the plug, but at least let them do more in terms of the amount of flaring that they generate in the Niger Delta. That's the outcome in the Niger Delta. So I suffer from this whole thing, and my people know that I'm engaged in environmental matters and cannot understand why I should leave the pollution, the oil spill, and the degradation that takes place, and then go all the way to the dead.
Would they be interested in looking at helping to secure a future supply of renewable energy? Would that be on their agenda?
Well, when the proposal I gave to them had to do with reducing, producing and what do you call it now, energy saving device that will clean up the oil kind of effect of emission on the engines and so on. I saw them, the way I saw it was that they were not quite happy because of the huge investment that we were going to bring about. So I don't know, we could something we could, look into and produce a paper for them to work on. But we are still working with them. They're still our they should give us a bit of money.
They might be interested in something which absorbs some of the carbon emissions that they produce, or that are produced from their products, as well as, a future supply of renewable energy for fuels that will last forever, is it?
Yeah.
So that's a conversation I'd love to have. I'll hand over to everyone else in a moment just to say what sort of things you'd be into. Because another thing I'm working on is this. It's a very low.
There's some shirts.
This is probably the only one of its kind at the moment. But you recognise who this happens, right?
Yes.
But the idea is that I don't only warn this for the first time today. We stopped at the station and see someone said, "What's that?" And what it does is you can use a smartphone and access the website directly. And what this is for is collecting UK votes, or whether they're votes generally, because it'd be international, for any project which changes the world in a beneficial way. And they would award, it's very modest funding. It's 5K to help take a project forward. No, yes, that's the one. I think you're aware of that, though. Have you got the project in?
No, it's your project.
So I guess I don't think there's any way to partner up on that at all. As you can see, it's about making it, helping, it's about trees, making it rain in the deserts and being able to prove that, so communicate that.
Well, something I was going to think of is, why don't we talk about collaboration already?
Yes, okay.
Before we can go on to the...
Some of action.
Yes,
Okay, that's fair enough.
I think
That's fair enough.
I can go with it.
That's where I'm with. I think I'm also at this juncture actually. We have to leave at 2 p.m.
Yes.
We have another meeting. I have a meeting with those guys, but I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay.
We have a meeting at least 30.
Okay.
We have to leave at 2.
Okay. What's your thoughts on? You're saying you talk about what the link could be before we talk about solid action.
We're on, because you see, we are talking about common approach.
Yeah.
When I say common approach, an arrangement that we can all...
Yeah.
So before we can now go on to...
Okay, that's probably the place to start.
Because if we are thinking of almost a partnership,
Yeah.
then we need to have the partnership agreement of support in place,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and which will detail what each of us brings to the table, what we aim to achieve by doing it, and how the logistics of working together, which in this case we might say perhaps trade as a delivery organization on-ground in Africa. And working quite closely with your expertise and all that stuff as well to make an impact and do what we want to do down there.
And bring the funding.
Exactly.
And
And how we then put together the various sources of possible funding or potential funding sources.
And if we can
all these things as well, and then maybe produce a joint communique of some sort.
Yeah,
that actually at least endorses the kind of whether it's a memorandum of understanding or a formal partnership agreement with the arrive at, and sign that and make a declaration that yes, we are working together, and it becomes formal, especially with doctors' relationships with the heads of commission that over there. So yes, we can.
Well, this is what the whole project is designed to do, is to bring together people from different nations. And this is music to my ears because this is exactly what's happening here today.
Yes. What will be key to that, then, that is, everything is done by email now anyway. So we will have to exchange email details. Communicate I guess you are in a way. So we have minutes of the meeting communicated to everybody, and I suppose we will have a copy of that as well.
Hopefully.
And then I will probably send out a template as to the key deliverables. What are the areas that you, and then we can all fill in this part. That goes into the either the MOU and then perhaps subsequently into the partnership agreement that we come up with, and then we all sign. And a little bit of costing will be required from your part, especially with the waste water.
We've got a spreadsheet,
So we need all those things, and then that's what we can begin to work with. The key strength of Community and I around the fundraising aspect of your spiritual and market the right funding to the projects. And then we come up with a time scale or some kind of a time scale.
So what sort of things do you think we need to agree here in order to form the framework for that agreement?
Broadly in principle, I mean, I can see the commonality there, which runs across the whole. So the broad understanding is there that we can work together and that we should. And once that's finished, that's fine. And then the next phase then is just to then get all these things.
But we're trying to move forward, don't you, Connie?
Yeah, I mean, we know what you're bringing to the table. You know what FADE is bringing to the table as onshore partner. Since we are based and we are carrying out at the moment a number of pilot projects in the basin. So on top of that will be what is the target? Where are we going to with this partnership? Who are we targeting? Where are the institutions we are going to be selling this whole partnership to? Because this, if you look at it properly, that is what the international community have been waiting for. A cross-border partnership and collaboration. Because let's face it, who are you doing this for the community? And so once we set out, like Andy said, I mean, already there is an understanding. I mean, when we visited your website, and I'm sure you've seen our website, it was virtually agreed that there was need for the two of us, all of us, to come together. And because it's going to do us no harm, it's just going to make us a bit better and bigger. So with that common body, we are first of all going to now inform the various institutions that look, we have this partnership, and these are the areas of operation. These are the things we like to do, and which would be, I think, the first phase of the whole thing is to come together, have a memorandum of understanding or some form of collaboration, joint venture arrangement, then approach the various communities, first of all, to inform them that there's a body like this existing that can carry out X number of assignments and projects. And then the other stage will be the funding, using that same platform to say, we need this, or they may even thereafter invite the joint venture to come, and which was what we have been doing in a small scale, whereby we inform and they invite, and then we discuss with them, and so that's the way I like to see it. I mean, I don't know if that captured the whole thing like that.
Oasis has made a commitment to plant a huge forest, and they probably don't have a very good strategy to achieve this. But the reality is a plan to enable them to achieve what they've already claimed they're going to do. So, and Ethiopia is on a shipping route for most of the oil tankers. They all travel past their shores. Yeah, so it could be set up very easily, a demonstration project in Ethiopia, and if that happened, I would die a very happy man.
What also strikes me when I'm looking at, again, at your website, where you're talking about how when the desert encroaches, then these communities are forced to migrate effectively onto other people's farmland. Yes? What would be lovely would be to have a small pioneering community actually relocate instead of to someone else's farmland to the coast where we actually run this pilot. And because what the data that we need is to be able to demonstrate what the options are. And if we can start to reclaim deserts as they got from the coast, then that would then it give humanity, wouldn't it, an awareness of what the options are.
Let me intervene. In Africa, land is like everything. What we need in Makoda is successful is that instead of going somewhere else, people were able to go back to their original land.
Yeah.
So that is the area we're going to be looking at. People that have migrated out of their natural land, if we can get them to go back to their land, it's a lot, because you see, if you're going to reclaim the coastland, somebody's going to come out someday and say, look, this place used to belong to Whereas if you reclaim an area that has been encroached upon and get the original people that own the land to go back, that would be a better...
That's the way forward.
That is the way forward. Not to reclaim the coastline and then get those people that have been driven away from the encroachment to move. Am I making any sense?
Yes, I wonder. We don't see what we want to see.
Because every land in Africa, even in the 12,000 square miles of desert, is still owned by somebody else. They have only migrated around. And if you recover it tomorrow and tell you, somebody will come out and say,
that's fine.
the Egyptian embassy once said, when I asked who owned the land, they said it's a desert, we don't know who owns the land. This is the Egyptian embassy in London. They said you could probably buy a strip of coastline for a few camels. Provided you can find out who owns the land. So that's a big issue, trying to find out who owns the land.
All the land belongs to somebody.
Yes.
I mean, it's a very interesting thing about, if you look at what's going on in South Africa today and in Zimbabwe, it's all about land, that, which people are making claims to. And, so that would be, which is why I have, I think in a number of my writings I've made it clear that, first of all, stop people from migrating away from the land. But even where they have migrated out, try to get them back to their land. I mean, why have they built me a house? Because the communities that used to live in that land before it was encroached upon by the desert, some 20, 25 years ago, had the opportunity of coming back. And they said, well, since you made it possible, please have a take of it. And they built me a house.
Yes, I don't think it's too further sensory. Because it's an existing part of your program, isn't it, to fight the encroaching desert. And so what I was saying is if there also a small pioneering community who would be able to acquire land at the coast and then move back in. Does that make sense?
No, I didn't get that the story. Can you repeat that?
I was saying it's part of your existing program.
Yes.
Then is to help communities to fight the encroaching desert. Yes, and to prevent them from migrating and to reclaim. That's right, indeed.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is that one of the things that perhaps we could do as an additional item would be to have a small, say, a pioneering community who would investigate whether it is possible to acquire an area of arid coastland, yes, and then actually move back in. Does that make sense? Because that's supplementary to what you're already doing.
You see, most coastlines belong to government.
Yeah.
You know that. In Africa.
And as we found out in Spain, some water companies
coastline, they tell you from so to belong to the government. And so you have to take that into consideration that you're going to be dealing with government. As again, even though this project, Makura, was with government. Government said to us, when we got there, this is the most affected area. It has been damaged, it has been taken over by the desert. You go and see if you can do something about it. And that was how we took the challenge, even though it looked impossible at that time. But as soon as that happened, the original owners of the land came back. Did you see what I'm saying? I mean, and they deal with how they will consult the government because the land belongs to them. My son works for one of these telecommunication, is a director or a manager, and he had some business to do in Abuja, and it turned out that he needed to see a permanent secretary who was going to handle this project. And he sent his card to this permanent secretary. I don't know, you have the same thing here, the permanent secretary, next layer to the minister. And immediately he saw the name. He had over a dozen people waiting to see him. He asked my son to come here, and my son went in and said, "Are you the son of so person?" And my son said, "Yes." He said, "I don't know your father, but what you have done to my community, whatever you want here to do, I'm going to do it for you." And my son went back and he got promotion from his boss. But that's not by the way.
Okay.
So here was a man who was living in Abuja, permanent secretary. I mean, obviously he was no longer, but he got to know that his community now have grazing fields. His community now have farming lands. His community now have water. They have a lot of, they have adequate rainfall against county rainfall. So a man like that, you can getting to do virtually anything to enable you expand your project, because he was one of the original owners. Actually, am I making any sense? Original owners of that land. So, and that is the area we have to, but when it comes to that, that is the aspect of the negotiation that you must leave to us, because we are Africans, we understand the culture of the people. We have inroads to the various institutions that will help us achieve all these goals. Because as you can see from that photographs there, we have had dealings with mayors, we have ministers, help us pay over this project. So I think that aspect of it you can use to us, and that's something that can be spelled out in the agreement that there's. So, and then of course there will be need for us to communicate, to be talking to each other, so that we can also, in your specialized areas, we may be able to come into it, to help guide you, to help you. And then in our own specialized areas, you can, so that is the whole essence of the
I can begin to see something come together. So what we bring to the table, to try and summarise it, obviously we have the Oasis concept. Yes. We have our scientific and technical advisory board, and with that here, they are quite eminent scientists with it here somewhere. We have the resource and the skills to construct the application for funding. What else do we have? We have the ear, certainly, of the funding consultants for Europe, and indeed their counterparts in the Brussels office. What else we got?
Communicating.
Yes, the
communicating strand of the.
Yes, that's right.
But we're also a social networking and all that.
We are.
Communicating the project.
Yeah.
That will be out in presentations. But also some quite nifty technical details that.
Okay, so I hope you've captured all that. Let's take that as what we are bringing to the table. We know what we do, we bring into the table. Then let's now go one step further to determine, because we have to spotlight some pilot projects. For us to be able to attract funding, for us to be able to get various stakeholders to take interest in what we're saying, we need to identify some pilot projects that we can begin to work on immediately, even with our own resources. And when funding can, I mean, if you have to get am I making any sense?
I'm not sure whether you want to do immediately, and the resources, that's my question. What I would like for us to explain that green energy let no laptop agree. We need this to some kind of community.
And the press, so that we have to
so we do that. And then from the outset, water project, for instance, as a pilot in maybe around north or south of Vermont. So we've got to look at the outcomes, to the outcome led actually. So we see what are the impacts, and then we then can agree on which ones are much more practical for us to implement or to start with. Because we don't know the cost implication or the cost elements to get some that's why I say we like to see some costing of all these things to have scientific.
We do.
Yeah. So it would be nice to see that without committing too much of your everybody.
Well, we
Partner resources
need to use.
and energy as well to be distributed into some, because we have ongoing projects, much as we do, but we've got to make sure everything can fit neatly to what we are doing, and then be able to convince the potential partners, funding partners. So this is where we are going. We have we are aiming for the long run. So let's have a proper plan in place to ensure robust and sustained relationship between all of us.
Okay. I suppose that one of the things that we could probably both commit to as being, conducive to our own missions is the communications, isn't it? Spreading the word and demonstrating to the international community and the European community in particular why reverse desertification is to their benefit. Yeah.
Why the two parties are coming together.
Yeah.
And then the desertification.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating the dog girl
So that is what is going to be of interest to them. Why are these bodies coming together? That is it.
Incidentally, that's why I wanted David Bellamy in Parliament that time, because he's actually a climate skeptic, but he could actually subscribe to turning carbon. Oh yeah. Yes, he said the more CO2 you get in the air, the better, because it's food for plants.
Which is absolutely right.
But what he did agree with, of course, is that if you use that CO2 to boost to restore the fauna, the flora of the world, the vegetation. Yeah.
But that's what we're doing too.
Yes.
Yeah. So we are coming together to achieve.
Yes.
And we need the support of the international community.
So step one would be the communication. Step two would be some sort of pilot demonstration of what is possible.
Mainly, I think you need to. Right, you need to write your email address, that's okay.
Yes, unfortunately, the one thing I found today. I wouldn't be my briefcase.
It's okay, well, so it's fine, yeah.
So, she's gonna do the minutes, but who will prepare the communique? We need a very good artist there.
We've got a bit of typing there.
But in terms of putting together the announcements to the outside world, there you go, because there's something that we can help with as well. We have, say on our team we've got someone who used to be, she was the chief press officer for DEFRA, wasn't she? So, she has the skills and the right content.
Did we have some of the photographs from this event then?
Yes.
We can use if not, we can do a group photograph.
Yes.
Just to show that.
It's a good camera for photographs, but I'm not so sure about the video.
Yes, it'd be very good to have that.
I would very much appreciate a photograph with you guys.
Okay, yeah, I think that's it's important that we do.
Who hasn't
No,
tried
but you also your email as well, because I can then email everything to you. And then you can send out the minutes as well.
Oh, would you be sending it out then?
Yeah, for everyone, because you want everything to so just send out to everyone.
And would it be okay for us to announce something on our website?
Oh yes, we're glad.
I would seek your permission.
I mean, they say we've had a meeting or...
But the translation is all mixed.
As far as I'm concerned,
we have those against
I should just say,
as soon as collaboration. I mean, like I said, not just the two of us, but a lot of my colleagues also visited your site, and we were all very excited about, before they gave me the okay to have this meeting. And so I think it's likely going to be a very formidable partnership, not just for us, but
for the all companies.
For the biodiversity. That look at what's happening to the biodiversity. This last year's United Nations theme was on benefits of biodiversity. What are the benefits? Everything is growing.
Well, one thing we have come up against is a few naysayers that say the desert is a very unique place and needs protection. Well, it's humanity that needs protecting against the desert.
Somebody asked me during my presentation in Bonn, does it mean there's not going to be any desert anymore? I said, no.
What a wonderful word. Well, why don't you go to have this little pocket of protected desert? Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing?
I said to them, you go to what is it called now? The Cambrian place in America. Las Vegas. If you're driving from San Diego to Las Vegas, it's all there. Suddenly you are coming into this wonderful place known as Las Vegas. This was
what did you think of that website, by the way? Operation Oasis?
I kind of quite realistic, but I think one thing I like about your website was the blog. I went to the blog and it was just an interesting thing to follow. And I want to see. I got the lateral thing, but it was weird. Interesting.
Try to do like a
and I think one of the things I like is the fact that you're doing a lot of things as well, apart from this.
Yeah.
So you've got research that you've been doing for 17 years on, was it IBT?
Infant drug therapy.
So I was like, wow, what's that?
That was a very interesting discovery. Again, I said being a lateral thinker tends to throw you in different directions.
Thanks, aren't you, Andrew?
Well, one of the problems with irrigation in arid lands is you get a build-up of salt on the land, except where trees are present. So the trees are somehow making use of the salts. So as an engineer, I wanted to understand what the trees were doing with these salts, because it's not on the ground and the trees have been there for hundreds of years, and yet they're irrigating the same land with the same water, and yet where the trees are not present, there's salt, but where the trees are present, there's no salt. So I wanted to understand what are these trees doing with this salt. So I went back to the old biology. I was quite a good scientist at school, and I vaguely remembered the lessons of osmosis, capillary action and root pressure. So I went down the local car boot sale for 20 pence. I bought myself a GCSE biology book just to have a recap, because I was really interested in what they were doing with the salts. And I read, and I just couldn't believe what a wholly inadequate explanation for fluid transporting trees. So I was sitting by my old log burning fire, and I said, okay, smart ass, right, if these trees are making use of the salts, and there's no mention of how they're making use of the salts, except for growth, what are they doing? So I thought, well, okay, we'll just abandon all of the current explanations. Osmosis, water coming water up the tree, for an engineer, I don't think so. Root pressure, the roots somehow squeeze water up the tree? Nah, I don't think so. Capillary action, the tree like a giant sponge and soaks water up? No. Cohesion tension theory, the leaves somehow generate this magical tension that can draw water from the ground over 100 metres to the top of a giant Californian redwood? I don't think so. So I abandoned all of those explanations. Some of them make sense, but only limited sense. And what I came up with was the tree is a multi-convoluted system, i.e. has tubes running from the roots to the leaves. The leaves are more like washing hung out to dry rather than elaborate solar panels collecting energy. So evaporation must be very important. The sap inside the tree contains salts, lo and behold, dissolved from the soils, and sugars produced by the leaf. So the massive loss of moisture, which is 98% of all the water that's drawn through the roots, evaporates through the tree's leaves, must concentrate the sap that remains in the leaf. You cannot evaporate water from that sap without changing the density at the top of the tree. Gravity must then pull the denser sap down, and for every action there must be an equal reaction. You can't have a downward flowing sap without a return flowing sap. So long as the downward flowing sap is always more dense than the return flow, which will always be the case because of evaporation, we've got circulation going on in the trees. And then that, again being a lateral thinker, you make the connection. The connection is, look, hey, this flow and return system has got no respect for what vessel contains it. It will happen. So long as we have a multi-convoluted system standing above ground level, which is human beings are a prime example, this flow and return system will have to affect the circulation. The literature states gravity acts equally on the venous return as it does on the arterial flow. Because why wouldn't it? Well, actually, that's a rather stupid conclusion, because evaporation from the lungs alters the densities of the blood, the capillary blood, that then passes through the heart and enters back into the main artery. So that now gives us a density imbalance. We've got a slightly denser blood in the artery than we have in the venous return. So now posture and gravity are interlinked in the system of circulation. How can we test this? Well, that's quite simple. We lift the head end of the bed up. Well, that was logical to me. So we'll see what happens if we roll the head end of the bed up. How long atmosphere is it? So I had a liquid tube and stretched out across the bed, and this tube was filled with water, and some small amount of coloured salt solution was added to the pillow end. I then raised the head of the bed up, and if I went below, say 4 inches at the head end, circulation occurred, but the salt solution flowed down one side, and the return flows in the same side. When I raised up to 6 inches, or 15 centimetres, the salt solution drove down one side, and the return flow took place in the opposite side, so we completed the circulation. And I thought, wow, this is it. And then when I went back in history, went back to Africa, 4,000 years ago, when they pulled the beds out of the tombs, they were all lifted at the head end. And when I asked the curator of the Boston Museum to measure one, they were raised exactly 6 inches at the head end. So they knew. They wanted it.
Well, I'm going to present you with a copy of this, and a copy of the book. Yes.
Can we have a sign?
Well, brilliant, thank you.
It's very kind of you.
Yes.
Thank you for your share now.
It's been very good.
Yes, so thanks for coming on. And okay. So to begin with, what you'll be circulating notes that you see today. Excellent, thank you.
We can also communicate on the Oasis website forum, because that's a very good method of capturing what different people say, yeah? Well, the emails tend to get up to and people are very accurate, but if occasionally we communicate on the website, everyone can see the transparency. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's brilliant.
I'll take it.
Photographs.
Oh, yeah, let's do that.